Meet the AnkerWork M650 wireless lavalier microphone. Let's give it a review. Whether you're filming for TikTok or you're filming for YouTube, obviously the way your camera image looks is very important. But just as important, or perhaps in some cases more so, is your audio quality. When I'm filming for YouTube at home, I use a Blue Yeti USB microphone, and it works great. The problem comes in when I'm trying to use my iPhone and filming maybe a short or I'm filming something for TikTok. Then it all breaks down. And my problem is I have two glass French doors that I'm facing. And even though I've got these panels behind me that do great for sound absorption, it just doesn't help with those glass doors as it bounces the sound around and it gives a really bad sound. I've struggled with this for some time. I've got numerous wireless microphones, wired microphones, you name it, I've tried it. And really nothing has cut down the reverb or the echo that I hear, even with these panels up. So when Anker came out with this new product, I definitely had to try it and see if it was worth the hype that I was seeing and also worth the cost. You can get the M650 on either AnkerWorks website or at Amazon, and it's the same price with both at $250. I was able to purchase a coupon code for $1 and was able to save $50. So I got mine for about $201. What really sold me was on their noise cancellation during their promo videos. They were on a subway train, and when they turned it on, it just sounded great. They were in some crowded areas, and again, when they turned it on, you couldn't hear anything around them. And I figured if it can do that for them in New York City, well, it can do it here in my house, in my home office, and hopefully cut down this reverb that I hear. Let's give it a review and see how well it does. So starting off with the case, it's got good weight to it, and I really like that all three devices can be stored in here. That's the two transmitters and the one receiver. And that's the other really neat part about this is there is two wireless microphones. Now when you open it up, you're going to get a little indicator here on the bottom that tells you how long your battery lives are. It's got the four LEDs, but right inside, everything kind of sticks in there because they're magnetized, so it kind of pops in there quite easily. You'll also have two other adapters, one for an Android phone using USB-C, and then one for an Apple phone using the Lightning connector. And it just twists in. They did a really good job, and this is a really thought out platform. It's small and compact, but it feels hefty, like you've got a quality product here with a nice little rubber base to allow it to not slide. Now using the transmitter with the receiver, you can get over 650 feet away from each other. That's pretty incredible, allowing you a great distance for some ultra wide shots when you're filming. And the receiver can receive both of those microphone inputs at the same time, allowing you to have multiple people if you're trying to interview them, or again, to continuously hot swapping microphones when you're doing a long recording. It does come with a little clip on the back if you needed to clip that somewhere, but overall, it's a pretty nice design with a touch screen to swipe down or swipe up or whatever you need to do. You can touch it and it'll maneuver as you need it. One really significant feature is that you don't even need a device to record to. In case your camera's not there or you don't have your phone and you just want to capture some audio, you can record on board to the device up to 7 hours. And all you need to do is turn that on from your wireless receiver. Here's one of the wireless lavalier microphones. Obviously you can see the microphone input here. It does have a clip if you want to connect it to clothing, or it's magnetized. So you can just put that on the other side of a shirt and it works quite well there. It also allows you to change the front. Now, it might be hard to tell here, but this is black. I wanted it something dark and not to stand out. But it does come with a couple extra covers depending on the cover you buy. And you just twist that, and then you can put on a different color. It's like a metallic blue. This is everything that comes standard with the kit. It's going to be this nice, kind of a little bit slightly heavy-duty plastic drawstring bag. You're going to get two windscreens, the weird windscreens there. Two front faces that are different colors if you want to change out your microphones, maybe to distinguish one from another person. Going to get a 3.5 millimeter stereo jack cable, or whatever you want to call that cable. And then finally, the charging box and basically just overall holder for the wireless lavaliers as well as the receiver and your two phone adapters. And that has, like I said, a rubber base. All overall, a really nice quality product. And now that you've seen a little bit about what the M650 is, let's go ahead and test it, see how well it works. Right now the receiver is plugged into the microphone input and I'm using this mic to transmit. It's worked fairly well as I walked a distance. I was in another room of the house and could still receive sound like I was standing right here. So overall, I think it sounds pretty good. And I don't have an echo. I'm going to go ahead and let you see what it's like recording with that echo. The input we're using now is from my Insta360 Link camera. And the microphone ordinarily would probably be good in most offices, but I'm struggling because of my glass French doors that I have, and it's just bouncing the sound around. So it sounds pretty poor to me. And now we're back on my Blue Yeti USB microphone. Now this microphone is a higher quality microphone that's really designed to handle situations like this where I'm bouncing and reflecting sound. But the camera and the microphone on it is only about 2.5 feet away from me. And it sounded that bad. Without these, when I film on my iPhone normally, it sounds awful and I have to use all sorts of different microphones, most of which that don't work very well. Now I'm going to switch over to my iPhone and record from there, and I'm going to use one of these wireless microphones I found off of TikTok. Now this one, interestingly enough, came with two microphones as well for probably $30, but doesn't compare to the quality of a $200 or $250 M650. Let's see. First up are the microphones I got from TikTok. You just plug it into the lightning port adapter at the bottom and just turn it on right here from this wireless mic. Overall, it's a pretty simple process. It auto syncs, and I think it sounds okay, but let's check to see how it compares to the M650. Now we're on the AnkerWork 650, and I think you can tell a huge difference. And this can turn its noise cancellation off. It can have it on low, which is the setting I currently have it on, or if you have a large crowd around you, you can turn it on to high. Say you're on a train or a bus, it'll focus on what is the closest voice and what it believes to be your voice. I think there's a big difference that you can tell between the two, and it's probably worth it as opposed to the $30 microphone I got off of TikTok. Listening back to those, I could tell a huge difference. The first one from TikTok, where I paid $30, super muffled, whereas the AnkerWork M650 sounded crisp and clear, and you couldn't tell what type of room I'm in. Tomorrow I'm going to take the M650 outside and really test it for distance and see if there's any wind and just overall see how it handles out there. But so far, I like what I'm hearing. We're going to go ahead and test the distance at the end of my alley here on my 9-bot Segway scooter. So as I'm riding up, I've got the noise reduction turned to high. So we'll see how well you can hear me, if there's any modulation in there. But does the wind affect that because it'll be right on it and I don't have the windsock on? Or any road noise because the roads are a little wet, so you'll hear a little bit of that like when you're riding a bicycle and going through a puddle. Let's give it a test and see how I sound at the end of the alley and then on the way up riding my scooter. All right, so here we are at the end of the alley, 200, maybe 225, 250 feet, and hopefully I sound pretty good. Golf cart off to my side, a little bit of birds chirping, that's about it. And we'll see how it does as I come up the alley, and I'll talk the whole way. Going a little rough terrain there, through some puddles, and just in case anybody's curious, doing about 11 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour right now, 13, so there's some wind speed or wind noise because of the speed, 14 miles an hour. So hopefully it's not affecting it too much. And now we're roughly 15 feet away. So let's see how it did and see if there's any modulation and overall how it worked. So I want to do one more test with the noise cancellation completely off or noise reduction off. We're going to see how that does going all the way down there just to hear me overall. And then as I come up again, I'll call out my miles per hour just so you understand the kind of wind speed that I might be seeing. Yes, I know it's a scooter and it's not very fast, but at least it's giving us a good example of what might be impacting that, as well as the road noise or anything else you might hear. So let's try it again with no noise reduction at all. I'm not going to try the low because we do it with it off, we do it with it on high, and we can somehow figure out what maybe the middle ground is. All right, so here we are at the end of the alley, and no real noise going on, maybe some birds, no vehicles around, but let's go ahead and try going up the alley and see how we sound with road noise and wind speed. Rough terrain, gonna go through some puddles. See if we can hear those more than we could before. Doing 11, 12 miles an hour right now. I think one thing that's interesting to note is I didn't use the windscreen. I probably should have, but this is a good test. 14 miles an hour, and see how it turns out. The outside audio I thought sounded fantastic. I'm roughly 200 to 250 feet away, and you heard me like I was standing right in front of the camera. So I think that is a great feature. Again, I don't know who's really going to be going that far away when they're filming, but it allows you some opportunity for some interesting shots. So for that, I thought it did great. Coming up the alley on the scooter, I thought it did a fantastic job cutting out all the wind noise. I didn't use the windscreen, and still you really couldn't hear anything at all. And that's great considering I was doing 14 miles an hour. And while that's not very fast, that's still wind going over the microphone input. And yet I sounded crystal clear. There was some minor modulation when I used the Pro Noise Cancellation on high, but still it was very tolerable and it was very minimal at best. Now, when I had the Pro Noise Cancellation turned off, you could barely hear any wind then, and I sounded great. Overall, I'm very pleased, and I will definitely use the M650 when I'm outdoors filming with my iPhone. So what's my ranking of the AnkerWork M650 wireless lavalier microphones? Well, I've been very impressed. I thought the price that I paid at $201 was great. Even at $250, I think it's a good deal, and I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. Let me know in the comments if you're going to use the M650 or if you're using the DJI wireless microphones or even the Rode wireless microphones. Let me know. I would love to hear your comments.